And now we are going to listen to a good news. Reforms are not only the introduction of laws, but the implementation is very important. And we have an opportunity to speak about those institutions that were created this year and the appointed heads of these institutions. And I give the floor to Artem Sytnyk. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. On 1st of December, the event happened that was awaited by civil society and national bodies, but I also expected this event, the appointment of the head of National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine. And I would like to greet, unfortunately, we wanted the joint briefing, but Nazar Holodnytskyi is at a very important meeting, and later he will tell you about this. I want to greet Nazar Holodnytskyi with appointment to this position, and Maxim Grishuk, who defended the airport, and also today, maybe the deputy director of National Anti-Corruption Bureau also will be appointed, and the complete staff will be formed. I greet anti-corruption prosecutors because they are not only appointed, but they are appointed through the transparent and open contest. And I spoke with the representatives of the EU and with the representatives of the United States. They all say that there's no doubt that this procedure was open and transparent, and this is very important for the start of our work. The appointment to this highly reputable and important positions. The only obstacle for starting the investigation of the Bureau was the absence of the anti-corruption prosecutor. We have already two prosecutors, and the third will join them, and then they registered first criminal proceedings about the schemes of about 1 billion hryvnias, and those 2 months after the 1st of October. This time was not lost. There were some activities, and the number of the number of prosecutors is not big enough, but first we will start our activity and to follow the transfer of cases to the anti-corruption prosecutor's office. And the head took part in this procedure. He has a lot of organizational issues and the appointment of prosecutors, but he understands the situation. He is ready to take obligations and responsibilities, and will supervise the registration of cases and the detention of some officials and I declare that the work of in the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine has been started. The number of cases will increase, and we work in this direction, and the contest for this anti-corruption prosecutors will be conducted transparently and openly. And as I know, Nazar Holodnytskyi developed a provision on the contest for the positions of the prosecutors, and this contest will be held in the nearest future. And starting on Friday, we started testing on the positions of detectives, and we will try to simultaneously go with the anti-corruption prosecutor, and there will be some contests conducted, and the number of detectives will be increased, and the whole number is 424 inspectors, now a little bit more than 80 inspectors. Then the contest will be held, and then they will be appointed to the positions, and in January there will be 150 detectives, and the number of cases will increase steadily, and the schedule of the conduct of this contest will be correlated, and this process will be effective in order to get these detectives into our office. And there were many candidates, more than 2,000 candidates, and these candidates undergo testing. The first, it's their knowledge and expertise in legislation. Then there will be a second testing, their skills, psychological testing, and then there's also be a testing, polygraph testing, and it showed its effectiveness, and that's why this contest will be held according to the same procedure as during the first contest. And I want to tell you that about the budget financing of the Anti-Corruption Bureau and the Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office. Nazar Holodnytskyi will tell you about the Prosecutor's Office, and I would like to tell you about Prosecutor's Bureau. I said that the budget was nil first, and due to our cooperation with IMF and Ministry of Finance, this figure changed, and we reached some compromise decisions that will help us to form all the divisions of our bureau till 2016. And we have ammunition, and we have special servicemen, and we have the division of information division, and also we have the progress, and it gives us a possibility to conduct all the complex of proceedings, and in the budget and the provisions about budget, the salary of staff of the bureau, and they say that the government have the opportunity, on the basis of the situation, they can decide what the salary will be. And we discussed this issue, and we hope that it will be resolved. For 8 months, we told that for the first time in the history of Ukraine, the issue of salaries that which work are of great importance will be prescribed in law, and not the director, not the president, no one can influence this. Only by law they will be paid, and I think that in this part the officers of the bureau will be independent. And I repeat that I waited for this moment a long time, and we started investigation, and we will bring documents to the prosecutor, anti-corruption prosecutor, and I think that anti-corruption prosecutor will help us in our activity, and I'm ready for the questions. We have not much time, so please.
Ruslan Ivanov, UA1, can you tell us, have you already looked through the results reported by Saakashvili, the results of investigations? If yes, will you investigate into the facts reported by Saakashvili? I thought to be present at the meeting. I could not be at the meeting, but my deputy was there. Of course, very many facts were reported and disclosed, and the message in mass media, the announcements at such meetings like this one, at press briefings, press conferences on some facts which were reported. We have already some investigative results, and as concerns this forum, we plan a meeting with my first deputy where we will plan how to respond to this message, to this report. We have 70 detectives, so we should have not so many cases to investigate. That is why we should decide on priorities, and we will appoint the heads of our departments as soon as possible based on the contests. How much money have been apportioned to the anti-corruption office, and when your work will go with full force? The average salary is 32 through 34 thousand grivnas. As concerns the full-fledged activities, we would help to organize our activities in the full scope by April next year. Now we will be establishing our territorial units in Odessa and in Dnipropetrovsk, and we have started activities, and that is why we are now establishing territorial units. Ideally, we had asked for 0.8 million. And now we need equipment for our investigations, which is very expensive. 495 millions. This is the figure which we compromised, which we reached compromise about. We will try to to make our activities maximum efficient with this amount of money, with this budget for 2016. You told that 3 criminal cases were listed in the register, and what are these cases? When we worked on, detectives started analyzing the situation in different agencies and different area, the problem was important was the management of government of state-owned enterprises. So these 3 cases concern this top management of state-owned enterprises, and the amount to be returned to Ukraine through these cases would be up to 1 billion Ukrainian hryvnias. Kapustan Sergei, whether the case will be initiated against General Prosecutor Shokin for illegal well, it could be possible such case may be listed in the unified register. The article which have took place upon 2014 only we can ask Mr. Shokin how did he get his funds. This norm was adopted in 2014, and at the time of Yanukovych, the investigators were to find through what criminal offense the funds were received. The property received after 2014 could be within the article of illegal enrichment. I hope that the anti-corruption office at the Cabinet of Ministers will receive, will have the leaders appointed. What for do we need this? The Article 366 goes that the newly adopted management of this agency by April 1st, 2016 will not have enough time for declarations of civil servants. The agency, there is no agency, and we should have time to get declarations from civil servants. If the servants would file the statements under the obsolete norms, according to the norms 366, this is explicit liability of the anti-corruption office to apply this article, this norm 366. There will be many interesting cases according to this norm initiated. Federer Ishuk, what is the principle to transfer cases from General Prosecutor's office to the anti-corruption office? What cases will you be receiving? The case, the Martinenko case, why it did not become one of your first cases? I would start with the second part of your question. For 8 months I have been asked by a journalist who is the first on the top of your list, Martinenko or Ivanov. We are pressed to take some cases first according to the surnames, but this would be a selective justice which we have been criticized all the time about. According to different information, there are more than 12,000 volumes of cases now to be transferred to anti-corruption office. We will check we will conduct the examination of all volumes when we will be receiving the cases. The decision to send a case to some body which will be responsible, which will investigate the case. Well, there are some agreements on the matter whether this case will be in the competence of the anti-corruption office. The powers of the anti-corruption office, there were attempts to delete the powers, some powers of anti-corruption office from the norm to 216. If the case does not fall in the into the competence of the anti-corruption office, then we will not try the case, but some other cases they shall be investigated if they are within our powers. Thank you for very deep information on the beginning of activities of the anti-corruption office and our greetings with the start.